So talking about the homeless issue, I think that really relates to the healthcare crisis that we have in this particular riding. And what I mean by that is I'm talking about the mental health issue and obviously drug addiction and rehabilitation. And it's probably a good place for us to talk about it because we're on the backdrop of St. Paul's Hospital. So,
well, we've got a couple challenges here. I think one last night I just heard the BC Liberal Health Minister say he wants to move St. Paul's from our community, close it down and move it. And for me and for many others in our community, that's an emergency flag right there. People get very upset about that, and they're telling me St. Paul's must stay in our community and it needs help. Now, that's not to say there shouldn't be a hospital in Southeast Falls Creek, which is of course one thing talked about, but we need emergency care here, whether it's for the seniors, for the Dr. Peter Center we have over here. It's crucial for our neighborhood viability, and so that's one thing that I'm going to stand up and fight on, and I think that's an area we can send a message to the government on. We need a hospital in our community. Back off. I think in terms of the homelessness issue, we've got many homeless people using our emergency care because they don't remember to take their medication. They're sleeping on the streets, which is dangerous already. And to get them into supportive housing now, we're going to decrease the load on the emergency rooms and deal with the wait list problems that we're having now. That's also an issue with seniors in our community. Many need to get into long-term care beds, but we're not having the success in getting those beds open. The government hasn't been doing as much as it could be. And so again, we're seeing them in the emergency rooms when they should be in long-term care beds.
what was the reason, for the minister to even make that sort of suggestion?
Well, we heard him say it's a very old hospital. And yes, in fact, one part of it, maybe a quarter, is a very old hospital, but the rest was recently built. So I think he's concerned about, I guess, costs. As always, cost is an issue, but I think to say that closing our hospital and moving it to Southeast Falls Creek in terms of cost doesn't make sense, because the business case, when you look at it, redoing part of it, most of it's fairly new, so you can do that. You don't have to close the hospital in order to make it a better hospital.
So now we're talking a lot about social justice in your community and in the riding, and I was curious, just considering your record, some of the things that you would take to Victoria with you that you believe strongly that this riding needs in the areas of social issues and economics.
Well, I think right now we've got a case where the minimum wage hasn't been raised for 7 years, yet the Premier gave himself a 50% increase. We just saw that he gave his advisors up to 43% increases, and people are angry about that. They're saying, wait a second, what about me? What about the little guy? What about the little woman? That they're not being represented in Victoria. I think that's a crucial issue. Many people down here work in the service sector. Many people are just getting by with rents going through the roof. They're not being heard, and they're being squeezed. I talk to seniors who are facing huge issues because their food budget is disappearing into their rents, and they're no further ahead, and they're close to starving. It's a riding with a lot of wealth, but a huge amount of poverty, and the divide seems to be growing. Campbell has allowed the divide to continue to grow and has forgotten about the everyday person and has just been rewarding his friends. So I think the minimum wage needs to be increased. I think we also need to be looking at making sure that people in rental buildings, some of them really long-term tenants here, aren't pushed around, because landlords right now have got a system which isn't balanced. So not everybody is breaking the law, or not everybody is using these loopholes to drive up the rents, but a number are. So you're seeing mass evictions. How
do you think what would you put forward as a policy suggestion or legislation to encourage landlords? I mean, especially in this market, I mean, we may begin to start to see a slowdown of that type of behavior that we're seeing, just to do with the economic crisis. But, landlords do need to understand the place of renters. What is it that you and your party would do to protect renters' rights?
I think we would follow the Ontario Liberal government's policy, where they stepped forward and said renters need balanced legislation. So if you're going to do renovations, and sometimes those are necessary, they've got to be necessary renovations. And you've got to let the people come back in at the rent that they were paying before. It's working in Ontario. The NDP put this position to the provincial government before. The provincial government refused to act and has continued to say, well, go fight it in the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, people are ending up on the street. I've talked to 2 people in Stanley Park who are now living in the park because they can no longer afford to rent anywhere. I think we've got a real opportunity here to send a message to Gordon Campbell, to wake him up. To some seniors are telling me we can't wake him up, but our office is at Robson and Nicola, across from the Empire Landmark, and people are pouring in the door. The signs are going up. If people do want to contact us, our phone number is 604-434-1194. They can check out our website, www.spencerherbert.ca.
And they can come in and visit you at your
Come and
office.
visit me.
Spencer will be there.
Generally I'm there, but my office really is the community. I'm out on the street corners every day, every morning, every evening, hearing from voters about what they want. And what I'm hearing is, I've never seen a politician on a street corner before. I've never seen my MLA ever. What are you doing out here? And I tell them and they say, thank goodness we've got somebody who wants to be here working for us every day.
Well, it's been such a pleasure, Spencer. I wish you the best of luck on October the 29th.
Thank you very much, Elise.
All right.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the outcome of this race.
Oh, it'll be a close one. And make sure to get out to vote. I think October 29th is the date. Advance polls starting this Wednesday, so please get out to vote.
We had the pleasure of speaking with both Arthur and Spencer today on the issues that are affecting the riding of Vancouver-Burrard in this by-election. Remember, you got to get out and vote. I'm Alise Mills for Hot Topic here on Novus TV.